He had a crown once, and now he has condensation on the inside of a car window, and that single image set the internet on fire. They called it proof. Proof that the fairy tale had curdled, that the prince who walked away from palaces was now parked under flickering streetlights, wrapped in a blanket, staring at a dashboard instead of a destiny. The photo, grainy, cruel, impossible to ignore, ricocheted across timelines with one brutal headline energy: exile without the romance. Online chatter exploded with claims that Prince Harry was between places, lying low, figuring things out. But the whisper that stuck was harsher, that the dream had collapsed and the fall was loud. Because this wasn't just about a man in a car. This was about a life that once ran on motorcades and now allegedly ran on fumes. The mansion, the sun-drenched California symbol of their new beginning, was suddenly the center of foreclosure gossip. Comment sections filled with armchair accountants dissecting insurance lapses, mortgage rumors, and the kind of financial spirals usually reserved for disgraced tycoons, not princes. The phrase "mansion sealed" started trending like it was a season finale. And where was she in all this? Meghan Markle was still appearing in glossy corners of the internet, calf snapshots, wellness events, that signature polished smile that says unbothered even when the world is screaming how. The contrast was catnip for critics. Him, supposedly rugged and unraveling. Her, curated and camera-ready. Together, yet increasingly seen apart. The narrative wrote itself, and the public devoured it like drama they'd been waiting to binge. Then came the children, always the emotional center, always the line people hesitate to cross, until they don't. Online speculation swirled about routines, schools, stability. Strangers who had never packed a lunchbox suddenly spoke like experts on royal parenting logistics. Names once whispered with fairy tale softness, Archie Mountbatten-Windsor and Lilibet Mountbatten-Windsor, became hashtags in debates that felt less like concern and more like courtroom theater staged on social media. Across the ocean, the palace machine did what it always does best, stayed publicly calm while privately calculating. Insiders claimed Prince William had drawn a hard emotional border, sympathy for a brother, yes, but no institutional lifeline. The message, according to commentators, was icy in its clarity: the monarchy is not a bailout service for personal misfires. Duty over drama, structure over sentiment. That stance only poured fuel on the spectacle. Because the public doesn't just watch royal stories, it picks sides like it's a championship match. Some called William cold, others called him responsible. Memes flew, think pieces multiplied. Every old interview clip was resurrected and reinterpreted like prophecy. Meanwhile, Hollywood threads tangled into the mess. The once celebrated media deals became gossip gold. Pundits questioned deliverables, advances, creative differences. Armchair insiders spoke with suspicious confidence about contracts and clawbacks, about how fast friends can become distant when invoices start whispering instead of shouting. Even the name Tyler Perry drifted through the rumor mill, once hailed as a guardian figure, now recast in speculative narratives about strained generosity and legal formalities. Every public appearance or absence turned into evidence. A red carpet where they didn't stand together, a social post without a spouse in frame, a sighting of Harry alone, head down, moving fast. The internet stitched these fragments into a tapestry of separation, stress, and silent negotiations happening behind doors no camera could reach. Back in Britain, the tone among royal watchers shifted from scandal to strategy. Commentators speculated that King Charles III was torn between father and monarch, while Catherine was said to be focused on one thing only: the long game. Stability, optics, the future beyond the noise. Whether those claims were insider invention barely mattered, they felt believable, and in gossip, believability is currency. What made this chapter feel different, darker, was the sense that Harry wasn't just a headline anymore. He was becoming a symbol. To some, he represented the cost of rebellion without a safety net. To others, the cost of leaving an institution that never truly lets you go. Sympathy and scorn lived side by side, fighting for dominance in every comment section. And through it all, the image remained: a prince, once photographed on palace balconies, now allegedly dozing in a parked vehicle while the world argued about how he got there and who should have stopped it. Was it pride? Was it principle? Was it love? Stubbornness? Miscalculation? Or all of it tangled together? Because here's the part no one can meme: Exile isn't cinematic when it's cold at 3 a.m. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't come with a soundtrack. It comes with long silences, unread messages, and the slow realization that independence can feel a lot like isolation when the support systems you burned don't rebuild themselves. Still, the story isn't finished, not even close. Deals can be signed, books can be written, interviews can be given that shake walls on both sides of the Atlantic. And if there's one thing the world knows about Harry, it's that silence from him never lasts forever. Right now, though, the narrative sits on a knife edge, a sealed mansion, a drifting prince, a divided family, and 2 children whose names carry centuries of weight. The crown stands firm, the car engine idles, and everyone is waiting to see who speaks first and how loud that voice will be when it finally breaks. And just when people thought the story had hit rock bottom, the whispers got sharper. Because a fall is one thing, but a standoff? That's drama with teeth. By early February, the narrative circling Prince Harry wasn't just about money or mansions anymore. It was about what he might do next. The same man once praised for staying silent to protect the family was now being recast in headlines as the wild card with nothing left to lose. Commentators began saying the quiet was louder than any interview could be. No denials, no emotional statement, no smiling pap walk to reset the optics. Just disappearance between sightings and a growing sense that something was being written, filmed, or negotiated behind closed doors. And that's what truly rattled palace watchers. Because institutions can handle noise. They've survived scandals, divorces, abdications. What they fear is unpredictability. The idea that Harry might trade silence for a spotlight again, this time not from a position of comfort but from a corner, sends speculation into overdrive. Old contracts were dragged back into public conversation. Every past interview clip was reanalyzed like it held hidden foreshadowing. People didn't just ask if he would speak again. They asked how explosive it might be if he did. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle remained a walking contradiction in the public eye. One day unseen, the next photographed in a setting so polished it looked like nothing in her world could possibly be off balance. That visual split, his alleged instability versus her curated calm, became the internet's favorite Rorschach test. Supporters said she was staying strong under pressure. Critics said the glam shots looked tone-deaf. Everyone had an opinion, and every opinion came with 10,000 likes. But beneath the aesthetic debate, another rumor line crept in: separation in strategy, if not in status. Observers noted the lack of joint appearances, the absence of shared messaging. It fed a theory that they were now operating like 2 brands under stress, each trying to stabilize their own narrative before deciding whether the partnership itself was still the asset it once was. Across the Atlantic, Prince William was being painted in equally dramatic tones, either the cold enforcer of royal boundaries or the reluctant adult in a family that had run out of second chances. Insiders quoted in glossy magazines described a man who had emotionally closed the file, focusing on duty, optics, and the long arc of the crown. Whether that was true or just excellent palace PR didn't matter. It sounded plausible, and plausibility is gossip's oxygen. Even King Charles III was pulled into the emotional chessboard. Commentators speculated endlessly about the father versus king dilemma, imagining private heartbreak behind public stillness. Some said he wanted reconciliation but couldn't be seen rewarding rebellion. Others claimed the damage had simply gone too public, too global, to quietly smooth over. The image of a monarch forced to choose institution over instinct was irresistible narrative fuel. And then there were the children, always hovering at the emotional edge of the story. Conversations about Archie Mountbatten-Windsor and Lilibet Mountbatten-Windsor shifted from background sympathy to central concern in online spaces. Strangers debated schooling, stability, routine, as if scrolling gave them a seat at a family council meeting. It was invasive, speculative, and relentless. And yet it kept spreading, because in royal sagas, the future generation always raises the stakes. Back in Hollywood-adjacent circles, deal chatter refused to die. Pundits revisited old announcements about streaming projects, publishing possibilities, creative pipelines. Names like Tyler Perry resurfaced in think pieces not as confirmed developments, but as symbols of once solid alliances now viewed through the lens of what changed. The industry has a short memory for loyalty and a long one for liability, and commentators spoke as if the Sussex brand had drifted from prestige to risk in record time. What made this chapter feel combustible wasn't just the alleged financial stress or family frostiness. It was the sense of narrative escalation. Each side in the public imagination seemed to be bracing, the palace reinforcing its image of steadiness and protocol. Harry and Meghan, in contrast, seen as sitting on untold stories, unseen footage, unpublished chapters of their truth. And the public? The public leaned forward. Because people don't just consume royal drama, they wait for the moment the mask slips, the tell-all drops, the interview that makes everyone say, there it is. That's the real story. The fear in establishment circles, according to commentators, was not that Harry would lie, but that he would share versions of events that were impossible to rebut without opening doors the monarchy prefers sealed. Still, there's another possibility that rarely trends because it's less cinematic, that behind the noise, lawyers are negotiating, therapists are advising, and two very famous people are trying to decide whether survival looks like fighting, retreating, or reinventing again somewhere far from both. Palaces and paparazzi. But drama rarely waits for quiet solutions. Right now, the world sees a divided royal house, a California chapter that looks nothing like the launch it once promised, and a prince whose next move could either fade into private rebuilding or detonate into another global spectacle. The crown is projecting granite. The Sussex narrative is wrapped in fog, and in that fog, every silhouette looks like a threat or a revelation, depending on who's watching. One thing is certain, this is no longer just a family rift. It's a legacy battle playing out in real time, where image is armor, silence is strategy, and every future headline feels like it's already loaded, just waiting for someone to pull the trigger.